Welcome. Happy Monday to you. Happy Monday morning. It is June 7th, 2021. My goodness, we are in the 6th month of the year, just about halfway through. So glad that you're able to join me this morning for Monday morning. Get up and go. We do this every morning, every Monday morning at 10 a.m. just to share with you a quote, a story, a moment that helps you to move forward, inspires you, motivates you to just kind of get out of your comfort zone, get out of your space and step into something maybe just a little bit uncomfortable, designed to help you to grow. So what's going on this morning? So glad that everybody's with me this morning. First of all, again, if you are on Instagram Live, just wanted to share with you the number. I want you to join my community, text me, get connected with me so that you can not only know when we're going live, but you can be aware of what's happening and we can have some personal conversations as well. So make sure that you text me at this number above, 410-936-4049. Text me 410-936-4049 and I'll be sure to respond to you personally. It's not an automated response. I promise you. If you want to become a supporter of the show, down below to the right somewhere there, go to rk3tv.live/BMAC. All right. rk3tv.live/BMAC. That's one of the ways to share how you support the show. Antoine's like, I made it. Hey, Antoine, good to see you this morning, brother. Glad you're here. All right. Well, listen, let us rock and roll this morning. I want to share with you a quote and then we'll talk a little bit about how that resonates with me this morning and what it means to me. So here's the quote. Let me actually just put it right up on the screen. Let me just put it right up on the screen here and make sure I'm on the right screen. Hold on. Let me make sure that I am. Hold on. I want to make sure I put it on the right screen. Hold on. Oh, there we go. All right. So here's today's quote. All right, Orlando in the house. What's going on, Mark? So here's today's quote. Make sure your worst enemy, your own worst enemy, doesn't live between your two ears. Make sure that your own worst enemy doesn't live between your two ears. I don't know if you can see, you can't really see this. And my shirt says senior class of 2021. That's not for me. That's for my daughter. My daughter graduated from high school yesterday. Ooh, yeah, my daughter graduated from high school yesterday, and the commencement speaker was a gentleman by the name of Eric Thomas. I don't know if you know him, but he's one of the top motivational speakers in the world, and he was my daughter's school was able to get him to come to do their commencement speech, and so during the speech he was encouraging them and he was pouring into them and sharing with them amazing things that they can do in the world. And he shared his story about being homeless to now becoming one of the top motivational speakers in the world. And he kind of just casually glanced by the fact that corporations pay him $50,000 to $60,000 sometimes to come and speak for an hour. So he spoke about that and he spoke about a few different things, didn't really make a big deal out of it. So after graduation, my daughter, she's going on a trip with some friends and some other parents, etc., as a part of her graduation gift. And on the way to the airport, she says to me, she says, Daddy, yesterday, Mr. Thomas said that he makes $50,000 to $60,000 an hour. She said, Does every speaker make that much? She said, that's a lot of money. She said, does every speaker make that much? I said, first of all, I want you to think about it this way. It's not just that somebody makes $50,000 or $60,000 an hour. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's some stuff that happens behind that. There's the marketing, there's the conversations, there's the hotel, there's the booking of the travel, there's the years of experience and different things that are put into that. So it's not just 1 hour. He's not just being paid for 1 hour. But that said, no, every speaker doesn't make $50,000 to $60,000 an hour. So she then says to me, well, what makes the difference between him and other speakers? What makes the difference between somebody that makes $50,000 an hour and somebody that makes $500 an hour, or $50,000 for a speech and somebody that makes $500 per speech? Now, she asked that question and it really made me think back to myself. It made me think back to myself in the beginning of my own speaking journey. And so I had to answer. I said, you know what? The biggest reason that he makes $50,000 and other people make less than that is he believes that he's worth that money. He believes that he's worth that much. He believes that the value that he brings to an organization, to a corporation, is worth at least $50,000. All right. Marketing somebody saying, yeah, he believes that all of that is what he's worth. Right. The reason that many people don't do certain things or don't achieve certain things or don't get to certain places is because they have not yet gotten to the place where they believe that they are worth that. Yeah. Right. So I mentioned that I went back into my own space, into my own story, because for a long time, my goodness, for a very long time, I shied away from speaking, from sharing my story, from talking up front, talking in public, because not that I didn't have an ability to do certain things. And I kind of made a lot of excuses. I'm an introvert. I don't really like standing in front of people. I don't have anything groundbreaking to share. Other people have much more interesting things to say than I. They're just naturally gifted speakers. They went to college for this. They did. I told myself all of those stories. And because I was telling myself those stories, I stayed in a certain space for quite some, or I came out of it, but just kind of like a little bit, just enough to be safe, just enough. So it's kind of like sticking your toe into the pool, and you feel that the pool is cold, but you know that you can pull your foot back out at any time, right? So you just dip your toe in it, you dip, and then maybe you dip a little bit lower, and you dip your toe in it because you know that you can pull your foot back out at any time. And that's what a lot of us do, me included, right here. Right? You dip your foot in instead of jumping into the pool, because once you jump in, especially if you're on the deep end, once you jump in, the water's cold, it's all around you, and you've got to deal with it. You just got to deal with it. So what most of us do, what the majority of us do, is that we stick our toe in it because we know that we can pull that toe back out at any time. All right? Yeah. Good morning, Marisol. Good morning, Philando. All right. All right. So that was my story for a very long time. I didn't think I had anything important to say. I didn't think that I had anything groundbreaking or that anybody would really listen. So for quite a bit of time, if I was asked to speak somewhere, or if I was able to get somebody to say, hey, can you come to speak to us? When they said, yeah, here's what we're paying, $250 for the hour or for 30 minutes or whatever it was. Here's what the rate is, $250. For a long time, I just accepted that because that's what I thought that's what I could get. And that's what my message was worth. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I want you to get. Here's what I want you to get. I'm not in any way saying that somebody, a speaker or anybody else that gets paid $250 or $500 or whatever it is doing the wrong thing or they don't recognize their worth, or they don't recognize their value, right? Here's why I say that is because sometimes when you are at a certain place in the journey and you know that there's more and you're working towards something bigger, that's a piece of the journey. That $250 or that $500 or whatever it is, that's a piece of the journey. That's where you are in the journey. But if your reason for accepting that is because you believe that that's all you can get or what you're worth, where's the problem? Where's the problem? Where's the problem? I remember my very first business coach, hired my first business coach probably back in 2012 or somewhere there about 2011, 2012. And I was sitting with him in one of our first conversations. And at this time I was in the online learning space, e-learning industry, developing courses for organizations. And he said to me, how much is your hourly rate? What's your rate per hour? And I said, oh, it's $60 an hour. And he said to me, why is it $60 an hour? I said, well, because that's what the industry norm is. That's what the industry standard is. He said, how do you know that? I said, well, every time I get called from a company to find out if I'm interested as a freelancer in getting being hired for a specific contract, those are the numbers that they kind of throw out. And he said, okay, so, and you believe that? And I said, sure, why not? He said, okay, what if you were to double that number? I said, from 60 to 120? He said, yeah. I said, well, I know people that make 125 per hour. So, it's, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's probably on the higher end. So he said, would that scare you? I said, no, I don't know if I would quote that number, but I don't know if I would be scared by it. He said, okay. So let's say 125. You said you know somebody that makes 125, right? I said, yes. He said, what if you double that number? I said, to 250? He said, yeah. I said, that's insane. That's crazy. He said, why is that insane? Or why is that crazy? I said, well, nobody would pay that number. He said, how do you know that? I said, I haven't seen it yet. He said, yeah, exactly. Exactly. He said the issue here is not whether or not you can get paid that number. The issue isn't whether or not somebody will pay that number. The issue isn't whether the job that you do or the job that you can do is good enough or excellent enough for somebody to pay that number. The issue here is that you have put some awkwardness in the space around money. You have equated a certain dollar amount with your specific worth. And right now, based on what you've told me, you've said that you believe that you are worth just what the market says or what everybody else says. That not even your worth is anybody who's in that space is worth. I hope you got that, right? He said that you have given over your worth to somebody else. He said it's not even one person. You've given your worth over to a system or a bunch of people who you don't even know and don't know you. He said, let's work on this. Let's work on this. So here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is I want you to write down on an index card, my rate is $250 an hour. And I want you to post that index card on a computer right by your desk or on your screen. And I want you to say it out loud 10 times a day. And I started to do that. I listened to him and I started to do it. And I remember one day getting a call from a company and they asked me, we went through the process and they said, okay, let's talk numbers now. What's your rate? And I felt a lump come up in my throat at the time. And I stumbled out 175 per hour. And they said, okay. And I said, whoa. Now, it was several years later. I could keep going with the story. It was several years later where I was doing a contract and a company asked me, they said, we want you to do something. And I didn't give them an hourly rate, but I said, oh, for that package, it's $1,500. Now, a few days later, once the contract was done, I went and I sat and I did the number. It was $1,500, but the package that I have given to them was 6 hours. Was 6 hours. And when I did the math, it was like 1,500 divided by 6. That's $250 an hour. Listen, I got on my text and I called my first business coach. I wasn't working with him anymore at the time. This was about 5 or 6 years later. And I called him. I said, Coach, listen, we did this and it was $1,500 and it was $250 per hour. And I didn't even bat an eye at it. Now, I am still in my own journey. I'm still not at the place where I believe that I will be and can be, and I'm aiming to be and will get to, right? But here's the deal. In order to get to that place, in order to get to a greater space, in order to get to a bigger space, you've got to be able to get your mind to a place where you believe that you are worth that. All right. So I'm looking at this quote here. I haven't even said it a whole lot. Make sure that your worst enemy doesn't live between your own two ears. Who's the person that you talk to the most every day? Yourself, right? Science tells us that we speak to ourselves. We go through about 70,000 plus thoughts per day. And the majority of those thoughts are not things that come out of our mouths and that we share with other people. The majority of those thoughts are things that we're saying to ourselves, thinking to ourselves, feeling and experiencing for ourselves. So if the majority of the time we're talking to ourselves, what is it that we're saying? What is it that we're saying, right? I'm looking at a lot of you online. Hey, what's going on, Paris Hawk? How you doing this morning? All right. Dripping in Mela. All right. I guess I'm assuming that's dripping in melanin. I love it. All right. Yeah. Marisol Mercado. How you doing this morning? All right. Somebody's on LinkedIn. Antoine Speller. Mark Chambers. How you doing, brother? Yeah. Listen, what happens here determines what happens out here. Right? The actions that you perform out here don't start because of what happened out here. They start because of what happens in here. What is it that you believe? What is it that you're saying to yourself? What messages have you shared with yourself already today, this morning? I want you to go back. What time did you wake up? 7 o'clock, 6:30, 6 o'clock, 5:30, 5 o'clock? What time did you wake up? And between that time and right now, as you're listening to this, what are the messages that you've shared with yourself this morning? Have you shared with yourself, listen, I believe that I'm worth this. I believe that I'm worth more. I believe that I deserve something better. I believe that I can do more. I believe that I can dream bigger. I believe that I can accomplish more. I believe that I can achieve more. I believe that I can transform other people's lives. I believe that I can share my story. I believe that I'm here for a reason, for a purpose, so for something meaningful. What have you said to yourself this morning already? What messages have you already shared with yourself? Hey, Clinton Bullard, how you doing? What are you telling yourself this morning? And listen, if you have not shared a message with yourself this morning, I just want you to do this with me really quickly. I just want you to say, I'm worth it. I'm worth more. And I'm enough. All right, say that one more time. I'm worth it. I'm worth more, and I'm enough. Yeah, I want you to say that. Even if you're at your office, you might not be able to yell it out and yell it out loud, but I want you to get your body into it and get a little bit of energy happening, because here's what happens. Your physiology, the way that you say certain things, right? If you say I'm worth it, I'm worth more, and I am more than enough, right? If I say it like that, then you got to get yourself, get your body, get your energy, get your physiology into it. I'm worth it. I'm worth more, and I'm more than enough. Listen, that's what you've got to be able to begin doing in order to get your mindset to a place where you won't just accept what everybody else decides you're worth. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. I love it, Mark Chambers. I love it. I love it. Listen, that's what we want to say this morning. That's what we want to do this morning. Whatever it is, we do this on Mondays, but there are 6 other days in the week. And I want to encourage you. I want to invite you to get up every morning and decide what is that thing that you're going to say to yourself today in order to not become the enemy between your two ears, but to become the ally, to become the champion between your two ears that is going to propel you into transformation and into amazing. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it together. All right. One more time. I'm worth it. I'm worth more, and I'm more than enough. All right. Make sure your worst enemy doesn't live between your own two ears. Become your own ally, become your own champion, and decide that you are going to be amazing today. All right. Listen, that's all we wanted to share this with you this morning. It is Monday morning. Get up. We want to make sure that you join us every Monday morning at 10 a.m. If you are not sure, or if you need a reminder to join us at this time, here's what I want you to do. I send out messages to my community on Mondays at about 9:30, 30 minutes to go, so that you know that you can join us here on LinkedIn or on YouTube or Instagram Live. If you just want a little bit of get up and go this morning, to hear something positive, to hear something inspirational, to hear something transformational that's going to help you move, then join us on Monday mornings. Make sure that you text me 410-936-4049, 410-936-4049. If you are on Instagram, go ahead and check out the bio. The text is there. Join the community. I'd love to see you. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to chill with you during the week. All right. Listen, join me this afternoon at 1:30 for my interview with John Register on the What's My Story podcast. John is a Paralympic athlete, or was a medal winning Paralympic athlete, and you're going to want to hear his story. You're going to want to hear his story. He was in line to get to the Olympics until something happened, and he could have ended there, but he didn't. He did something amazing, and I want you to join me for that session this afternoon. All right. What's My Story podcast, 1:30 today. I will see you next week, Monday at 10 a.m. for the Monday morning Get Up and Go. Let's do this thing. Have an awesome, make it a great day.